Hey, what's up guys? It's been a while since I've made a video, so hopefully this turns out, but today I wanted to talk about my experience with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. So my wife and I decided to go to California for Thanksgiving vacation. We originally thought that we were going to fly down there and then rent a car there and then fly back, and then we changed our minds because that was expensive and we decided to just drive. Now, there's kind of a few reasons why you might rent a car instead of driving your own car to go long distance. One of those reasons, which is why my parents used to rent cars, because we weren't quite sure if our car was going to make it. And there's another reason why you might rent a car, and that's why we rented, is because I didn't really want to put, 2,000 miles on one of my cars just for, a weekend. So I started looking, and I know Enterprise is a really big company, and I usually like to rent from bigger companies just because you have better, generally, customer service and you have more places that you can go to. So I went with Enterprise. One of my friends hooked me up with a discount code, thanks Chris. And we ended up going with a premium car, which is about $200 for the week, and then $232 with fees and taxes and whatnot. And then I switched my reservation to just a full-size car because I was like, well, I don't really need a luxury or premium car to go to California. I just need something that's, comfortable. But they were going to give me a Chrysler 200, and I'm not too big a fan of that car. So went with the upgrade to the premium. The day before we were going to leave, or 2 days before we were going to leave, I called Enterprise, and I said, hey, I'm looking for particularly a Chrysler 300 because that's my preference when it comes to the premium cars that they had. They had Nissan Maxima, they had Toyota Avalon, a few others, but Chrysler 300 is really the one that I wanted. Of course, the Chrysler 300 is kind of the most desirable premium car, so they're like, well, we kind of don't have any right now. And I'm like, all right, that's fine, what do you have? And they're like, well, right now, all we have is a convertible Mustang. And I'm like, yeah, not really what I wanted to rent, but I'll come down and check it out. And I had called a bunch of other Enterprises, and they basically said, yeah, we don't have any Chrysler 300s, good luck. So I ended up going down to Enterprise in Vancouver off of, just behind one of the stores on 4th Lane. I can't remember exactly where it's at. Anyways, they were really helpful. Took a look at the Mustang. It was an EcoBoost white convertible, and I was like, well, it has heated seats and it's comfortable, so sure, let's do it. So they gave me an even more discounted rate because it's technically a sports car, or it's more expensive than a premium car, but they gave me the premium car rate, so that was really nice of them. So that was customer service points to them, number one. And got in the Mustang, drove it off, and I was like, man, I don't know. I brought it to my wife to see what she thought, and of course she was busy working, so she didn't really give me her 100% opinion on the car. But she said, it'll work, whatever, let's do it. So as I'm driving away, I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to do 2,000 miles with a rag top, and it's going to be cold anyway, so there's no point in having a convertible. So I drove the thing back, and I was like, hey guys, like, this isn't going to work, I need something different. And they're like, all right, no problem, we have a few other cars you can choose from. And one of the other guys that I was originally working with said, hey, we have the Chrysler 300, just give that to him. And they're like, oh, well, we thought we had a reservation on it. And he's like, no, they didn't come in, just give it to him. So I was like, sweet, they had a Chrysler 300S. So sport model, I guess, so it has paddle shifters and sport mode and all that jazz. Big 20-inch wheels. Pretty good looking car, I'll show some pictures of it. But I got upgraded to that, so that's really the car that I wanted, and they ended up giving that to me, and that was really solid of them to do that. So we went on our way. We went down to California and did our thing. We were going to leave Sunday morning early to drive back to Vancouver. Well, we woke up that morning and I was like, there's no way I'm driving back. I was way too tired. We stayed up until 1 o'clock the last evening, and we were trying to get up at 5. It just didn't work. So me being my lazy self, I went online and I tried to see how much plane tickets were. They were relatively inexpensive, booking the same day. I was pretty surprised, and booked the tickets. And then I thought, you know what, maybe I should figure out how much the drop-off fee is to return this car at the airport, because they actually charge a fee when you drop at the airport. At least most of the time they do. So I was like, okay, it's probably gonna be like 50 bucks. It's probably gonna be 100 bucks. I'm willing to pay that. It is what it is. I call Enterprise corporate because that's just the line that they gave me. I tried calling the actual San Francisco office, but they're just insanely busy. They didn't answer my call. Called the corporate office or corporate customer care center, and they're like, oh yeah, let me just run the numbers for you real quick. We'll figure out how much it's going to cost. I'm like, great. Like, yeah, it's going to be $250 to drop the car. And I'm like, $250 to drop the car? And like, yeah, usually we see fees, we can see them anywhere between $100 to $500, just depends. And I was like, well, that's not going to work. So I said, screw that idea, let's just drive back. I went on to Travelocity's website and looked at the return policy for plane tickets, and of course, they're non-refundable. And so I was like, dang it. I kind of got myself in a bit of a pickle, because now I'm going to spend $650 to fly home versus the $150 or $100 in gas to get home. So I'm losing $550 just to take a plane. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So at some point in time, I just decided, you know what? I can't return the plane tickets. That's not going to happen. We're going to save 10 hours worth of driving time. We're going to be able to hang out with my family. We just determined that it was worth it. My wife and I determined, paying the extra $250, it's going to be worth spending the extra time with family and not having to drive home. The weather was really bad through the mountain passes anyway, so we probably saved ourselves from an accident or something. So we were good. We just decided to do that. Well, we ended up going to San Francisco, or the airport, and I had my card ready, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna hit this $250 on my card, and we're gonna get home, and we're gonna be good. And turned the car in, and they said, all right, your final bill will be this much, and it was the amount that I was originally charged. And I was like, oh, okay. We walked away, and to be honest, I'm not really sure why they didn't charge me. I read online that sometimes they won't charge you if the car that you have is in high demand. And just for context, the reason why they do charge in the first place if you drop off at a different location is because you're essentially taking a car from another enterprise's inventory and moving it somewhere else. So now that enterprise can't make money with that car. So that particular location will charge you the drop fee. At least that's how I understand it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But sometimes if a particular airport or enterprise location needs a specific car, like a Chrysler 300 or like a SUV or something that's in high demand, they'll actually not charge you the drop fee because they'll make so much more money with that car that I don't know if they pay the other enterprise a $250 fee or how that works, but it basically gets absorbed. So that's what we ran into. The other thing that I was told by some friends is, oh, if you're renting from Enterprise, be very careful about the inspection. Like, make sure that any scratch, any dent, any curved wheel is marked on the inspection sheet. So when I picked up the Chrysler originally, it was raining, and of course it was dark, and so it was hard to see anything. The only thing that we could really see between me and the employee was a huge scratch on the hood. So he listed that, and we were good. Of course, the next morning when it's not raining and it's sunny, I noticed that there's a curved wheel. I noticed that there's a bunch of scratches on the deck lid of the trunk. And then I noticed that there's some damage on the front bumper. Like maybe somebody had hit a corner or hit a car trying to park the car at some point, and it was missing some paint and the bumper was popped out a little bit. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna charge me for this when I get to the Enterprise location. This is gonna be a headache, and I'm gonna have to explain to them that it wasn't me, and they're probably not gonna believe me because it wasn't on the original inspection sheet, whatever. But when I returned it to the airport, they actually didn't even care. They looked right over it, and they didn't mark it down. In fact, the inspection process was literally just a girl walking around the car once and going, yep, looks good. And I think pretty much all they look for is to make sure that it's not major damage or like the headlights busted or, there's major cosmetic damage to the vehicle. So if I were you, and if you're skeptical about Enterprise, I would second guess it. They gave me really good customer service, aside from the fact that I was told by their customer care center that I was going to get charged $250. That was kind of a strange either mistake or just misinformation. But other than that, Enterprise was really good about accommodating me and my requests for a new car, even though I'd gotten into the Mustang convertible at a really good price. They said, no problem, we'll take it back and we'll get you in another car. And then when I got to the airport, it was really, a pleasant surprise to not have to pay the fee. And overall, had a good experience. The car that I had, The Chrysler 300 had about 13,000 miles on it. Seemed to be in good shape. There wasn't, you know, they gave the car to me a little dirty, which, I mean, in my opinion, if you're giving somebody a rental car, it should be clean. I mean, the outside was relatively clean. The wheels could have been cleaned better. That's just me being nitpicky, though. But, I mean, there was still dirt on the floor mats, and there was still gunk in the cup holder. It's just like, you know, that's stuff that, especially a client who's getting a premium or a luxury car, I think that they should take that extra step to really make sure that that customer is getting a good experience. That's just my opinion. You know, some people probably don't care if the car's a little dirty. I'm probably a prima donna for thinking that, but that's just my opinion. But other than those couple of things that I had, which aren't really major customer service issues, I mean, I had a good experience. They didn't overcharge me for anything. They were very pleasant to work with. None of the employees I talked to were catty with me or rude. I mean, it was just a good experience. I don't have anything bad to say about Enterprise. So, in conclusion, if you're considering a rental car company, I strongly recommend Enterprise just based off of my one experience. My parents have rented them from them before and always had a good experience. So I give them a, you know, thumbs up. Anyways, guys, I hope you find this video helpful, just because, you know, if you're on the edge of whether or not you're going to rent from a particular rental company, you know, hopefully this gets you kind of over that hump. Although I will say your mileage will vary, obviously, and not every enterprise is the same, not every employee is the same. They're going to look for different things. You know how it is. But my experience has been very good. I will give them my recommendation, you know, my extremely credible recommendation. And yeah, if you liked the video, please just let me know if it was helpful. If it wasn't, you know, obviously let me know that as well. And I will try to make more videos, because I haven't been making videos lately. So